For Hromadske journalists, the day started at 9 a.m. near Kramatorsk Hotel in the city of Kramatorsk in eastern Ukraine. On the other side of the border, the prisoners were being taken out of detention centres and prisons. Irina Hromadske, the representative of the Trilateral Contact Group for Donbass Peace, doesn't disclose any names to us, just gives us technical instructions. She says that those who are being handed over by Ukraine are there willingly. Journalists are trying to establish who has been freed and who hasn't. Initially, Hromadske was told that Alexei Kurichenko hasn't been released. But our journalists would encounter Kurichenko, who has been in captivity since the Battle of Savur-Mahila in August 2014, just 8 hours later. But first we travelled to Zaitseva, a village controlled by the Ukrainian government near the Mayorsk checkpoint.
In the last hour, the Ukrainian side verified the list of people they need to hand over to the other side, and the names of those Ukraine will manage to free today. The list have been verified now, and in about an hour or an hour and a half, these people will be released.
At the moment, the 7 buses behind me don't have all 306 people that Ukraine is handing over to the self-proclaimed Donetsk People's Republic and Luhansk People's Republic. There are fewer than that, around 237 to 240. Some of them don't want to be exchanged, while others asked for notes saying that they'd been freed but are not going to go to the exchange. We're all waiting to see how many people Ukraine will receive from the self-proclaimed DPR, but as far as we know, the number hasn't changed. It should be 74 people. The Ukrainian Security Service has brought us 3 people who are claiming that they don't want to be exchanged and return to the occupied Donbass territories. They all have different stories. One of them says he'll go back to prison and serve his sentence, but not return to the Donetsk People's Republic. Are you going back to prison?
Yes, I am.
Is that a detention center or a prison?
Yes, it's a detention center. I've been accused of provoking ethnic and religious strife, but I don't consider myself guilty, so I don't want to go back to the other side.
But why don't you want to go back?
Go back to where? I live in Odessa. I have my family. My children and my grandchildren are in Odessa. I want to stay on the Ukrainian side because I don't even know why I was on the list. In 2016, I was accused of theft, which has nothing to do with politics or anything else. On December 23rd, I was sentenced to house arrest, and then they brought me to this exchange. I don't even know how that happened, but I have all my family and all my relatives in Ukraine, in Kharkiv, so I don't want to go anywhere.
Valeria Lutkovska, the Ukrainian parliamentary human rights ombudsman, explained to us that she can't provide the exact number of people who didn't want to be exchanged. But at the moment, it's around 10 or 15.
At the moment, I cannot say how many there are of those who were brought here that don't want to be exchanged, because anyone has the right to change their mind and refuse to go, even now.
Irina Hromadske refers to such people as отказники. Olga Koptsova, the self-proclaimed Luhansk People's Republic's ombudsman, has come here in order to determine whether these отказники really don't want to be exchanged. She's accompanied by the LPR soldiers and police force and by a bus full of journalists from Russia, DPR and LPR, who started filming the Ukrainian journalists as soon as they got off the bus.
Look, our people from the Luhansk region are in that bus over there. This bus here only has the propaganda media who came here to cover the events. You will have an opportunity to talk to them later. Irina Vladimirovna, please explain this to them.
Koptsova brings her 73 people instead of the 99. The remainder refused to leave. There are also 16 Ukrainian captives freed from the LPR. Among them are 2 Luhansk soccer fans, Artyom Akhmerov and Vladislav Ovcharenko.
Героям слава! Героям слава!
Стас, добрий день!
Вітаю!
Hromadske hands over a phone to the boys. Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko is on the line. Vladislav only says thank you from everyone.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. I want to say thank you from all the guys. Thank you to the whole of Ukraine, to our relatives, and to all those who joined this fight for us.
Ovcharenko tells us about his mother's borscht, but his mother is still in Luhansk, while Ovcharenko himself will fly to Kiev. He's not sure who will meet him tonight. In 10 hours' time, as the plane will approach Borispol airport in Kiev, Artyom would remind him that just the previous night they were falling asleep in prison. Next to them is newly freed Valentin Bogdan. We don't ask him about his experience of having his teeth filed down during interrogation or his fingers chopped off. Since none of them have their phones, Valentin pulls out a piece of paper out of his pocket. His mom's phone number is written on it. He uses my phone to call her.
Мамо, не плачь, все буде добре.
Don't cry, Mom. Everything will be fine. Hello? Honey?
Алло, сонечко.
Don't cry. Everything will be fine. I'm in Ukraine now. I've been exchanged.
Вже поміняли.
Don't cry. Everything will be fine.
What did they say?
They're already in Kiev waiting.
Another hour of waiting, and everyone is too busy to talk to the journalists now. So we're heading to the area where the exchange with the DPR is taking place. We've been told that the exchange will take place on neutral territory, but at the checkpoint we see a DPR flag. We go ahead and see the road sign for the city of Hromadske, and that's where we stop. Here, next to our bus, we can see armed separatists, the DPR's self-proclaimed state emergency service, and Daria Morozova, their ombudsman. In front of us are the people we're about to receive, the freed soldiers and civilians.
Еще 2 шага назад. Автобус там. Знаешь, где автобус или нет?
Отходим, журналисты, отходим к автобусам!
Alexei Kirichenko has been waiting 1,215 days for this moment to come. He still remembers the day he was captured very well. For those who have been in prison for 2-3 years, it's almost as if time has frozen. Even though all of us have moved on and forgotten about the Savor-Mahila and Ilvaisk battles. But Kirichenko remembers. Just like in 2014 when he declared without fear that occupied Donbass will be returned to Ukraine, he says the same thing now, here in occupied Horlivka.
I think these Kremlin attempts to restore their empire status and some kind of communist ideology, it's simply doomed.
Alexei has been keeping himself busy during these 3 years and 4 months of captivity. He's been learning languages.
I got into languages, started learning German, and improved my English.
Then we see the civilians. Igor Kozlovsky, a prominent Donetsk-based scholar of religious studies who spent 2 years in prison, and Vladimir Fomichov, his student. We had the chance to exchange an embrace with Vladimir already. Before his imprisonment, we worked together on the same floor. Hello, Volodya. We're finally seeing each other again.
Yes, Nastya, it's all thanks to you. I just want to say that actually I'm so glad to be speaking Ukrainian. I missed it so much, I'm telling you. I will be happy to drink some tea with all of you again. I cannot wait for that moment.
What kind of system is this that imprisons a scholar and a civilian? What is this regime?
I think it's because of some of my views. But it should not be like this. We're in the 21st century. Every person has the right to have an opinion.
Yevgen Chernysov, a soldier from the Azov battalion who was first sentenced to death by firing squad and then had his sentence reduced to 30 years imprisonment, was also returned to Ukraine. But Korenkov and Hantarev, members of Ukraine's special forces, were not. Ukrainian fighters who were in the same cell of Makivka prison grilled the self-proclaimed DPR ombudsman, Daria Morozova, with questions. Why aren't they being returned too? Morozova says they also didn't receive everyone they wanted back, but she fails to mention that a few simply didn't want to return. In total, there are around 100 people remaining as hostages in the uncontrolled territories of Donetsk and Luhansk. We are on the territory controlled by the self-proclaimed DPR, but they're not allowing us to film. Why aren't you allowing us to film?
Фомичев!
Владимир Игоревич! Макеевка – это Украина!
Ура! Хромых!
Макеевка – это Донецкая Народная Республика.
Хромых! Давай. Чуднецов! Молодец. Давай.
Трішечки, да?
Яковенко!
Ігор Сергійович,
Давай.
слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Принципиально все.
An hour later, we'll leave the territory that is currently under DPR control, along with the 58 freed prisoners. In another couple of hours, the soldiers will receive a new military uniform to change into, and they will all be put on a helicopter. Poroshenko will fly with them. He's been waiting to do this at Chasiv Yar for about 4 hours.
Дякую вам. І слава Україні! Спасибо.
When we're in Kyiv at a military airfield near Boryspil airport, some of the freed prisoners tell Hromadske that they will go back to their military posts to carry on fighting. Chernitsov, for example, says he wants to go back to Mariupol to rejoin the Azov battalion. But right at this moment, at 1:30 at night, he only wants two things: to eat and understand where he will sleep tonight.